Everybody is focused on the hook. I feel like all the content gurus that I listen to, they're hammering the importance of the hook. And yes, it's important. It might even be the most important piece of your content. But there are four other things that without these, it doesn't matter how strong your hook is. The first thing is the who. So a lot of people focus on the most attention grabbing hook that they can, and they never stop to think about who are they actually trying to attract. So I see a lot of times people say, are you a coach or a consultant and you're trying to get over 50K a month? That may be attention grabbing for a lot of people, but you're probably attracting a lot of people that just want to make a lot of money. But if you're aspiring to work with business owners who are already established, that might not be the first thing that is going to grab their attention. Maybe what you say instead is, are you trying to increase your show up rate by 20%? Now we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about making more money, but we're talking specifically about how we get there. And if you're not currently booking sales calls, that's going to go right over your head. So we might have the overall subject of making money, but rather than talking about that and attract everybody, we're going to talk about generating leads. Maybe it's not just leads, maybe it's increasing our show up rate. So there's a way where we can not go for the obvious thing that's going to attract people that don't belong in our net, but how do we narrow down on something more specific that's going to only attract the right who and repel the people, or at least go over the heads of people that we don't want to attract. So that's incredibly important, not just a strong hook, but a strong hook for the right who. Now, the second thing you need, in addition to the hook, is the flow. So once we grab somebody's attention, we need to keep that attention. And we need to always remember that at any given moment, if they get bored, they can just swipe away. So we have to constantly engage them. Most people do that through really fancy editing. They have lots of B-roll and sound effects, and they've got animations happening behind the speaker. I like to do some of that. I like some B-roll and some, zoom in, zoom out effects. I want our content to be visually appealing and aesthetic and engaging, but I don't like relying on that because I'm not talking to cats here. I'm not in the business of dazzling animations to keep you tantalized. I want the message itself to be what grabs somebody's attention. I want to be connecting on a intellectual and an emotional level so deeply. We're resonating so strongly. That's why somebody is going to keep watching our videos. And a lot of that is done in the edit. So how we operate, we ask our clients questions, we try to draw the gold out of them, and we just get them into flow. They just start talking. So we might have a question that leads to a 2, 3, 4, 5 minute answer. It's our job to go in there and figure out, okay, what's the key message here? What supports that and what doesn't support that? What's fluff that we can remove? What are tangents that we can chop out? Maybe we even realize that the ending was really strong on this. Let's put the ending at the beginning. That's going to grab the most attention, and then we'll lead into the premise, whatever it may be. So a lot of that can be done in post, not hyper engineering. I never want to try to put words in our client's mouth. I want to draw that gold out of them. But we just need to make sure that we have a strong flow that grabs their attention and never gives them an opportunity to swipe away. Just remember, just because somebody made it through that first hook that gave you the first 3 seconds, they are under no obligation to give you their next 57 seconds. So that's the second thing. You have to have a good flow. The third thing is the takeaway. So I'm not a copywriter myself, but I've worked with some absolutely world-class copywriters. And one thing that I've always learned is that the goal of any sentence is only to sell the next sentence. And the goal of any paragraph is only to sell the next paragraph. So copywriting is not a whole bunch of sales pitches put together. It's an argument. You're establishing an argument. All of these stepping stones where one leads to the next, where when somebody walks down that path, they get to the end, there's no other alternative but for them to buy from you because you've kind of reoriented their thinking. You've established, this argument for why your service or your product is going to be the solution to their problems. Now, that's one of the most important lessons I've learned from copywriting that I apply to content creation. That is how our content works too. Every single piece of content that we post, the goal is not to make a sale. Most people treat it that way. Every single day is another sales pitch, another sales pitch, another sales pitch. Really, the goal of today's content is to sell tomorrow's content. Or really, if you're, like I try to post 3 times a day. So this morning, I'm trying to get you to watch this afternoon. This afternoon, I'm trying to get you to watch tonight. Tonight, I'm trying to get you to watch tomorrow morning. And if every piece of content can provide so much value, so much inspiration, so many insights that you have to tune in for the next one, well, if you tune in 10, 20, 50, 100 times in a row, eventually you're going to do business with me. Eventually you're going to go, you know what? Garen is a part of my day now. I've learned so much from him. I need to take that next step. I need a little bit of what he's got. So rather than focusing on the hook, which is the first 3 seconds that sells the next 27 seconds or 57 seconds, think about how can this entire piece of content sell the next piece of content. And the most important way to do that is just to ask, what's the takeaway from this piece of content? If somebody watches this If we ask them afterwards, hey, what did you take away from that video? What did you learn? What's the one thing you're going to remember? We don't want to leave that up to chance. I don't want to roll the dice on that. I want to say, okay, the key takeaway from this video is X. Now let's make sure that the entire video is geared towards that thing. So hooks are really important, but you don't ever want to ask somebody, what is your takeaway from this video? And they say, oh, the beginning was really good. Or, even worse, hey, they had this little effect where they like dropped down into the first frame, and that kind of got my attention for a little bit. Okay, that's great for grabbing attention, but what's the message here? Like, what did you resonate with? What is going to inspire you to watch the next video? We have to have that thing in place. So that's why the takeaway is so important. And the fourth thing that you have to have in addition to the hook is the consistency. So there's a certain element where it doesn't matter how good your hook is. I just might not be in the mood to watch a piece of content today. Or I might not be online today, so I might not see your content in the first place. People spend all this time trying to hyper engineer all the variables. The perfect hook, the perfect length, the perfect animations, the perfect colors, the perfect headlines, the perfect thumbnail. Those are all important, but at the end of the day, there's a certain element where it's just, I don't want to say up to chance, but you have to post that content and you track the analytics, you see what works, you double down on what does, and you cut what doesn't. And part of that is just consistency and reps. You need to post enough content where you can gather that data and you have enough data to analyze and to act on, and also just enough reps of getting in front of people. So Alex Hormozy, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, these people own a small piece of real estate in my head. I don't even watch that much of their content, but they post so much of it that I don't know what percentage I watch, 5% of their content, it ends up being a considerable amount. Now, my message isn't that you need to post as much content as Alex Hormozy. My point is just that there's a certain element where you can't control the consumption habits of the viewer. So you need to give yourself enough at-bats of just putting things in front of them where they're going to watch one of those things, and then you collect enough data to be able to act on it, like I said. So yes, you have to have a strong hook in your content, but you also have to have the who, the flow, the takeaway, and the consistency. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was overwhelming in any way, I'd be more than happy to talk about how we can help you with that. I aspire that for our clients, content creation is the easiest part of their entire business, that every day they automatically have content going out that they are excited about, that they have fun making, and it nurtures cold prospects into hot buyers on autopilot. So if you'd like to learn about how we can do that for you, there's a link down below where you can DM me on Instagram. I'd love to tell you more about how it works and see if it would be helpful for you. Now, I mentioned doing work in post, like the editing and the chopping. I have another video called How to Create a Content Conveyor Belt. So that's actually all of the work that takes place after we film a piece of content. It's like a conveyor belt where we take a raw piece of video, we hand it off to the first person, and it goes through each step of the process of getting chopped up, of the writing, the graphic design, the animating, the scheduling, until it's final content on a content calendar and then automatically posted. So if you want to see that video, I'll leave a link to it down below, the Content Conveyor Belt. Hey there, it's Garen from the future. Between the time I filmed that video and right now, I've created a series called 30 YouTube Ideas in 30 Days. If you're a coach and you don't know what to make YouTube content about, there's a link down below. Drop your email in there. I will send you one awesome idea every day for 30 days. At the end of that, you will never have a problem ever again coming up with great YouTube content ideas. The goal, though, is not just to create more good content. The goal is to create the right content that grows our businesses. So I've also created a tool called the 24/7 YouTube Salesperson. It's all of my best frameworks and strategies along with GPTs to help you actually implement them and turn your YouTube account into a machine that creates sales every single day for you. So there's a link to that down below as well. Check that out. And if you enjoyed this YouTube video, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to love this one.